Good morning. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the North Harrow Community Library YouTube channel. I'm Fiona. I'm one of the volunteers at the library, and today I'm thrilled to be joined by two local authors. We have Marielle Bayliss and Kellyanne Thorne. So Marielle is a writer and Kellyanne is an illustrator. Some of you may know Marielle from when she produced Frog in the Log and
Frog's Bog.
The Bog. This is in all sorts of
Bog series.
And came and spoke at the library and read. But now we're here today to talk about the series that the two of them have done together, known as the Neurons, which is a really lovely little series of books, which we'll explain shortly. So first of all, I'd like you to introduce yourself. So Marielle, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into writing, and what your interests are?
Yeah, hello, hi, lovely to be here. Yes, I'm Marielle Bayliss. I'm an author. I came to write, I've always written my whole life. I've always been writing, but I came to writing as a career quite late in life. So I was first published at 45. Yeah, that all came about from lockdown, really. I'd been writing on and off, and I'd started a creative writing course, and then I fell pregnant with twins and realized that I couldn't keep working for childcare for 3 children. So I quickly, whilst I was pregnant, finished the writing course. And then over lockdown, I'd set myself writing challenges every day to make sure I wrote every day. And one day we went for a walk locally in our local nature reserve here. And my eldest daughter was asking me, as we walked along the river, what's the difference between a river and a stream? What's the difference between a lake and a pond? And we got talking about it, and I thought, I'm going to write about that. So I wrote Frog's Bog, which each book explores 4 different waterways. And it was lockdown, and it was the worst time to send to publishers. Everyone said, don't send to publishers now because everybody's writing a book during lockdown. It's the worst time. They're backed up with submissions. And I just thought, it's the right time for me. So I went for it, and I was lucky. I got a publishing deal, and there's going to be 3 books in the Frog's Bog series, but we've got 2 out at the minute. And yeah, I was lucky. I got a publishing deal. Frog's Bog came out. And then at the same time, I started writing about epilepsy. And then that led on to the Neurons as well. So yes, that's how I got here to this point. And I love it. I love writing, and I feel very lucky that I can do it. Yeah.
Good, thank you. And Kellyanne, how did you come to be illustrating and doing the Neurons?
I kind of fell into it a bit, really. So I did a fine art degree, but I specialised in sculpture. I always used to love drawing as a child, but I kind of went the sculpture route. Became a teacher, so I was an art teacher for a number of years. I became head of department, and then my son arrived. So he was 28 weeks, £1.12, very small. And then I just decided he needed quite a lot of care, a lot of hospital trips and so forth. So I stopped teaching. 2 years later, I had twins. It was a very noisy, chaotic house, but I absolutely loved it. And then I missed the creativity. So I started drawing again, and I just remembered how much I loved it. And then sort of set up a website, the usual Etsy shop, done some commissions, prints. I've designed the local signs for our park, some business commissions. And then I met Marielle, and I met Marielle at a point when my eldest son was diagnosed with autism. So we've been on quite a journey together as a family. It's been quite an adjustment, just to kind of understand him and understand what he needs. And yeah, I ran into Marielle. She watched my work. We got talking, and she sort of said that she's writing this book. Would I be interested? And I said yes. And then we just sort of thought this should be a series, and it kind of just went from there, really. And I love it. I'm like Marielle. I spend my days drawing, and I love it. I feel very lucky. My studio is actually being built at the moment in the garden, so I'm very excited about that too. So yeah.
You'll actually have somewhere you can go and
your own space. The dining room table. Yeah. So I'm very, very excited about that.
And I am openly very jealous of I'm like, oh,
Yes, the
Little
dream.
table in the corner for you.
yes.
So, well, I think that some of the enthusiasm and the infection and the passion that you're showing comes through in the series that you're doing. So, so they're small little titles. And although they're sort of classified as being children's for 3 to 5 year olds, I think that they're fantastically good at explaining to anybody who is either dealing with a newly diagnosed child or a sibling or somebody that they know, or just vaguely curious about what's going on. They're a brilliant explainer at how people with these particular issues might be feeling. And I think that that's very useful. And I think that classifying them as children's books is almost, sort of too simplistic, because they take a complex idea and simplify it, but that's good for adults as well as for children. So I think they're for all, is what I'm trying to say.
No, I love that you've said that, because it took us so long to get to that stage. Because you do the research and you've got so much you can say. So even just on epilepsy alone, there is so much you can talk about. And then you have to keep stripping it away, because we wanted to reach very young children. But we want their parents and their friends and neurotypical children and neurotypical parents and teachers to read them too, to understand it. So it took me a long time to strip it away. And it was one of the editors came along at one stage and literally got rid of half of the book. And it was the best thing he could have done, because it made me go, okay, what do we actually need to say here? What do we want to get through, and what can we do later on for older children? But as you say, enough information as well that parents can look at it and go, oh, I hadn't thought about that. So
it's quite a journey, wasn't it? I mean, the first book, the epilepsy book, that was, we worked on it for 18 months, wasn't it, before we actually had a manuscript and a few illustrations. And it took a lot of, it's quite a journey, wasn't it? And then, like you said, then it was massively edited, and we really learned so much in the first book that when we got that, the second, third, and so forth just evolved, didn't they? They just
they flew from there. So I mean, it's you can't see. You'll have to read the books, folks, to be able to see. And there will be some of these will be in the library. The illustrations are fantastically. They're sort of the neurons. So here's a little neuron, the neuron on the front, and the illustrations, they're full of energy and lightness, and you can just imagine the neurons fizzing around in your brain. And it's a really good way of explaining what they do and how they do things in different ways for different people, and how they might make you feel. And even though each book has got its own little neuron, but you don't, the way you explain how the brain works is different for everybody. So it's not like the beginning of the book is the same for each of them. They're all very individual, because obviously the neurodiversity is very difficult, very different for everybody. So and I think maybe the best way to explain how the book is written, Marielle, it would be great if you could just read out a couple of pages so that people have a feel for the language and the style that the books are written in, and hear for themselves the accessibility.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so this, I think I'll do Neurons and Autism, just because we were focused on this a lot last month, because it was Autism Awareness Month. So Neurons and Autism. Okay. Don't know if you can see that. And this says, hello, I'm Ozzy the Neuron. Come with me on a super speedy journey through your body. What is a neuron? Neurons help with everything your body does. We send messages to your brain, and the brain then makes decisions based on these messages. Need to yawn behind your teacher's back? We'll time it to perfection. Want to win a burping contest? We'll help you belch so loudly that it tickles your tonsils. Whoa, that belch was loud, and I should know. I deal with sound messages. Sound signals. I live in the inner ear. I detect and send sound messages. The brain then makes a decision based on these messages. And you can see here that it says on the previous page that Amira's mum has started to go to choir, and poor Amira's holding her ears there. So the brain makes a decision. The brain says, let's find some earplugs pretty quickly. So that gives you an idea of, it's kind of, it's light-hearted, but it's letting you know what functions the neurons do and how they send messages.
Yeah, I think it's really good, and the whole series explains the neurons working in slightly different ways for the slightly different neurodiversity. So you're explaining epilepsy, of course, is different again, and some people are very confused about epilepsy. Autism, ADHD is we all think we know what ADHD is. Little kids running around in the classroom. It's not. It's very different from that. Dyslexia, again, a misunderstood and underdiagnosed condition that a lot of people have without even realizing it. Dyspraxia similarly, and Tourette syndrome, which of course is can be very distressing for those that suffer from bad Tourette's, but it's really helpful to help explain. So as I say, there's the 6 books in the series. We will have them in the library, and I think that they will be very popular and should be read by everybody. So let's go back to a little bit about writing and your inspiration for writing, and any hints and tips for enthusiastic, creative people who might be watching and listening to this. Because of course, as library users, we'd like to think that everybody reads and writes naturally, and has a passion for it. And some people want to take it further. And I just wondered, as a child, were you interested in writing?
Yes, very much so. Yeah, I was always writing stories as a child, always very imaginative. I recently went back to my primary school in Thornaby in Teesside, where I'm from. And one of the things that kick-started a bit of confidence for me in writing and kind of planted a seed was when I was about 8 years old. There was a writing competition at school. And I think it was that over the summer we could write a story, whatever we wanted. And when we came back, there'd be a competition, and whoever won would have their book published. So basically wrapped in plastic, typed up by the teacher, and put in the school library. And I wrote something over the summer, carried on, discovered that, I actually like this, and that, I can make all the decisions. I can take this story wherever I want. I don't have to follow any rules. So I really got into it. I wrote a book or a short story, and I won. And I wasn't expecting to win at all. Wasn't expecting it. I wasn't particularly, high up in terms of English. I just let my imagination run wild. I won. The teacher very kindly, I've got it over there actually. The teacher printed it up, put it in plastic. I got a copy. Then there was a copy for the school library. And then for years after that, with all the different careers that I did, every now and then my mum would say, what about writing? Do you remember that time you got? And she kept, just every, say, 5 years or so, she'd say, what about? And so when I started doing the writing course, I think my mum was quite pleased because she always wanted me to give that a go. But definitely winning that competition, it wasn't particularly big. For all I know, maybe only 5 children bothered to do it over the summer. I don't know. But it planted a seed, and I learned that I enjoyed it. I enjoyed writing. And in terms of hints or tips for other writers, I'd say, I know it's been said before, but when I was stuck and I didn't know, after I did the writing course, I thought, well, what now? And then I thought, just write about what you love. And so for the first books, that's nature. And I thought, and then during lockdown, we weren't doing a lot. So I thought, doorstep inspiration, go for a walk every day, be inspired by one thing, write about that one thing. And that was the writing challenge I set myself every day over lockdown. And it had to be new and different every day. And for me, I just kept coming back to nature. It was always different points in nature. And then once I'd done that, and I thought, well, come on, what else? And I'd written in rhyme. I love rhyme. But I thought, I want to do something that's non-rhyme. And then that's when I thought, actually, I want to write about epilepsy, because that's also a part of my past. I was diagnosed at age 15. I was given a very dry pamphlet, and literally that was it. That's the way it was then. And I just got on with it. And so then at the age of about, I think I was 43 when I started writing the epilepsy books. I started to research epilepsy and couldn't believe how much I didn't know. And for a woman who's lived with epilepsy for over 30 plus years, how crazy. I didn't know I was experiencing auras. I thought I just had no idea. So I re-educated myself, and then I thought, okay, let's write about this, but let's hopefully make it fun and engaging. So that was, let's make it not a dry pamphlet. Let's make it something really fun that kids can get into. And once you start looking into the world of neurons, it is like an amazing universe. So it was fascinating.
Oh, really interesting. So for those who are listening as parents or as children, we do some creative writing workshops in the library this summer. And we're hoping to be able to encourage people. And I would always, obviously, as a library volunteer, encourage people to come and read. You know, the more you read, the more you know, the more you understand, the more you feel the ways of the world can be looked at differently through different eyes. And a book is a great way of doing that and helping explain things better. So encouragement. So if you're a parent with a child who is showing some even vague little interest, encouragement is obviously very important. And an understanding that trying to find yourself through your words helps you understand the world around you. So thank you. And Kellyanne, you've already explained a little bit about how you got into the world of art, and how specifically did you get into the neurons, and why did you, how did you make them look like they looked?
It took a while. It did take a while. I remember when I started doing my own work again, I listened to a podcast, and it was an artist, and she always said, say yes to everything, because it might not lead anywhere, but it could, or it could lead to other things, or you might learn something. So when Marielle said to me, oh, you know, do you fancy kind of illustrating this book I've got kind of in my head at the moment, part of me just thought, no. I've never done anything like this before. I wouldn't know where to start, anything like that. But I thought, no, I'm going to say yes. So I said yes. And it took a lot of time to develop the neurons. So the first thing I did was research what a neuron looked like. And from that, I come up with a few ideas. But it's almost like feeling around in the dark and trying to grab that piece of string. And sometimes you give it a tug and it comes with you. And other times you grab it and it's leading somewhere. And that's kind of what it feels like. You kind of keep drawing, you keep kind of playing around with ideas. And then eventually we got Enzo. And I developed the ideas for the neurons. I created a few illustrations from the epilepsy book. We took it to the graph egg, and they actually wanted me to simplify him quite a lot. So originally he had glasses and a tie. Even before that, he was a bit of a pom-pom with the tail. So he's gone through quite the journey, his poor Enzo. And it works. It works so much better. They're so much more expressive. He's less stuffy. So yeah, it's you're never going to get something the first time. You've got to keep playing, keep developing those ideas, and then you'll get one that sticks, and then you'll know in your gut. But as far as the drawing goes, you've just got to practice and just take the opportunities. If there are any budding artists out there, just keep practicing, keep loving what you're doing, and just, even when you desperately don't want to do something because it's scary, do it, because it's not scary now. I've done it, so I don't feel scared about doing it. And yeah, it's a massive learning curve. So the first bit was you know, I had to learn so much, but it was great. I loved it, really loved it.
So thank you. So I think that both of you are I've said it before and I'll say it again, are so enthusiastic about what you're doing. It makes me want to sort of rush off and go and dig out my old crayons and my,
Oh, you
my
should.
pen and start straight away. Not that I've ever done anything like that, but you're very inspiring. And I hope that those who are watching and listening will feel inspired as well. And it would be difficult not to. So I think that I would encourage everybody, whether or not you know anybody with a neurodiverse condition or not, just read through these books. They won't take very long, and they really do explain how different brains work and why some of them are doing what they're doing. And understanding why things are happening is a really useful way to understanding people's behavior and being able to adjust our reactions to other people that we might not understand initially. And those themselves who are having these strange ways of behavior, they may feel odd, but they're just the neurons telling you what to do. And I think it's a very straightforward and accessible way of explaining it. So thank you both. Is there anything else that you'd like to say this to our viewers and listeners this morning? No?
Ooh. Probably just to reiterate what you said, that yes, they're for children, but they're also like for assisted reading for parents with children, and then for older children, they can read them on their own. But exactly what you said, that yes, it's great to give children with these conditions a voice and the correct language to use. But it's also a big part of this is we want to reach neurotypical children, neurotypical families, because we're all, most schools have SEND departments now. Most schools have a provision for this. So it is all around us. So it'd be good to understand it and talk about it more, have a conversation.
Good. Okay. So thank you.
Yeah, exactly what Marielle says. It's just about trying to create more of an inclusive society. And we can't do that unless we understand. And I think that a lot of people that are neurodiverse just want that. They just want a bit of understanding. And then, you know, society is accessible to everybody.
Well, I'm sure that the neurons will help all of us understand each
Hopefully.
other. Yes. So thank you both. And just to remind you, this is the North Harrow Community Library YouTube channel. The community library is open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. We run all sorts of courses over the summer, workshops for children. Everybody is welcome. We're a safe space, a safe haven, and we welcome anybody who wants to come and just sit and enjoy the ambience that we have. Lots of books. We have a fantastic children's section. So do come, borrow books and visit us and read, be inspired. And thank you all for watching. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.